kind of a strange thing to attempt to tell the story of one's journey in. And I think it's important to start maybe as long as 2, 3 years ago, when I was overworked, anxious, raising 2 kids in an unhappy place in my relationship. The mixed bag of all the things that we have. Um, no better or worse than anyone else's problems or traumas. Um, but started searching. I started in the professional world and read all the books, um, and got deeper into self development and found myself still anxious and addicted, to substances and to distractions. Found myself working harder, not being a good mom to my kids. In retrospect, there's sort of a sadness in watching how lost I was, and the behaviors that I was engaging in that weren't serving me or the people I loved. Realizing how I was kind of running around feeding this little anxious person inside of me that needed something and couldn't figure out what it was. Um, about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, our entire world came crashing down. We own 3 restaurants when the government shut down restaurants for COVID-19. Um, we were we went from 50 employees to about 8. All the responsibilities that everyone else held came crashing down upon us. And I don't know about anybody else, but at that point, our all of our insecurities, all of the things that we hadn't been doing for ourselves to care for our inner health came to the forefront. We became the unhealthiest versions of ourselves, relying on all of our old coping mechanisms, drinking more, exercising less, binge watching more TV, finding all of these ways to, again, run away from what was inside and not really even realizing that we were doing that. So when we found Tim's work, the work with Tim, through casual conversations and just engaging with someone that we enjoyed being around, it became very quickly apparent that the paths that we had been trying to follow didn't the anxiety to act, the push, the drive to be something other than what we were or to change the world around us wasn't going to be remedied by the drinking and the binge watching and the ignoring or the running or even all the self-help books. Somewhere along the way, trying to find yourself out there in the world, you're going to get lost. The Inner Oasis work has helped me to realize that I have the ability to affect the way I experience the world from within. And it wasn't like, with the self-help books, I went from professional world to personal development into individual therapy, like in like the very linear progression of going deeper and deeper into yourself or into what seemed like productive work, as opposed to diving into the Inner Oasis was like jumping into the perfect temperature of pool on a perfectly hot day when everything else kind of gets washed away. And all of a sudden, I felt like we had been given a clarity and a peace that I had never experienced before. And it's so challenging to put words to something that strong and yet that soft all at the same time. But it's just such a lovely sort of resonating peace and joy. I have the very distinct pleasure and honor of being around Tim on a regular basis and watching how excited he gets about the fact that we found a new ketchup container for him that won't spill all over his car. There is just a freshness to being able to release some of the identifications that we have, release the constant search for that next thing that's going to make you feel better, whether it's a substance or a book or some sort of habit pattern. Make sure you get your morning routine in because that's really the way to really nail your day kind of situation, right? There's so many solutions out there. That the solution's not out there. For me, finding this was really that the solution was in here and that we have the ability to really change our experience. And without, we call it work, but it's observation and it's presence and it's being in a community of people that aren't afraid to walk into those dark places with you because they've been there too. And the acceptance around that and just knowing that we're all in a place somewhere inside and that the work helps us see clearly a way to peace. That's it.